Good morning. It's 8:44 a.m. It is January 24th. Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. Halfway through the work week, you guys. You got 2 more days. Like I said, hump day could be fun. You could make it special. You could go, I don't know, to your favorite lunch spot. You could maybe play a game of ping pong in the middle of the afternoon on your lunch break. Whatever you got to do to get through the week, just go ahead and do what you got to do. Anyway, so I'm up this morning and I slept a long time last night. Like the day before, I didn't get any sleep, so I slept for a pretty long time. I think I went to bed around some weird hour, like maybe 6:30, maybe 7, somewhere around there, possibly. I don't remember exactly what time it was, but I do know that I was in bed earlier than I usually am. And I went to bed, and I think I slept pretty much throughout the entire night. So I didn't have any astral experiences last night. I think I did wake up around 4 or whatever. I did, have to use the restroom. Not like I had to throw that in there, but you know what I mean. That's typical, like when you first wake up in the middle of the night or whatever. And then I went back to bed. So, I guess my sleep pattern is going to try to correct itself. Um, I guess a lot has been on my mind. I was pretty fired up in the videos that I made yesterday, and sometimes I can just, when I get pissed off, I can just go on and on and on and on and on and on. But you got to understand, like, that's years of frustration built up, and sometimes, like I said, we can't murder people. We can't do things that are against the law. You have to contain yourself. You have to be able, and definitely one-on-one conversations with some of these people is impossible. So the only thing that you can do to get any form of justice is to release yourself in the way that the best way that you possibly can. I don't believe that what I'm saying is wrong. I feel as though it's fair enough for me to release my true feelings on the issue in the manner that I see fit, because that's at least some form of compensation from being fucked over so many times. You know what I mean? It's like, don't blame me for whatever, but at the same time, I don't want to offend the people who do support me and who have been, giving me their concern and their attention. I do appreciate that, and the support. I do appreciate all of that. Anyway, so of course, I was getting some intuitive messages this morning. I'm not in the full swing of the morning quite yet. Meaning, like, I just recently made my bed and had some coffee and whatever. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? I want to make my videos, so I want to make my videos. Well, like I said, I'm working on one for Patreon. I'm working one for YouTube, and so it's sometimes it's just because of the demoralizing issue that I have to deal with. It's like I had mentioned yesterday in one of my videos how they do everything they can to make you almost invisible. I mean, I know that a lot of people watch my videos. I know that they do, okay? But anytime you're in a targeting program, people know who you are. It's just that you're not allowed to know that they know who you are, but it's so obvious. It's weird, okay? But anyway, so they don't like you to have any sort of recognition. Like I told you, like when I was in my former place, every time I would do something, especially over at the farmer's place, every time I do something, my shit would get stolen, or it would be, whatever. So, it when you're trying to create content and people are doing things to demoralize you, you can just feel the abuse, like what you're dealing with. And the way that this system is designed, the tactics that are used, it's meant to try to squash you out, because they want to do it's some form of manipulation or whatever. So I have to trudge through, and these little tests that they do, it's a part of the experiment, is dehumanizing. Please stop doing it. You know what I mean? I'm at this point where it's like I'm just tired of the game. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I've been getting like a lot of messages, and people are very, very amazed at how this whole thing unfolded. I get that feeling that people are like, "Oh, this is just like it's odd. It's the unusual." You know what I mean? Because a lot of people have been, I guess, following me through the course of you know, my targeting, and you know, before I was even making videos for YouTube. You know, people have known me for a very long time. This was originally meant to be like within a certain social circles, only certain people were supposed to know. But that never really works. It spills over. People forget that, you know, it's supposed to be secret. This is one of the reasons why I believe not telling people your secrets, because people are going to spread shit. So anyway, people know who I am, right? But they knew me originally under the idea that I was some sort of threat, that I was a bad person because of the propaganda that was going on. Now, they knew who my adoptive family were. They knew that my adoptive family probably went a lot. Every time I did something wrong, it was just over inflated. Like they had to sit here and just go on and on. And everybody makes mistakes, okay? So like when I got pregnant and all this other stuff, I was always the kind of person who took responsibility for everything that I did. You know what I mean? I was aware if I did something wrong, so I understood that I had a child, and I understood that, you know, you have to support that child. So, you know, some people would have just ended up getting married. I've known a lot of women who were pregnant who ended up getting married, and not necessarily to the father who of the child. You know what I mean? There were some men who, you know, fell in love with women who were pregnant, and they married them and took care of their kid, whatever, and adopted their child as their own. I never looked for the easy way out. You know what I mean? Somehow deep inside of myself, I always knew that I had to take care of Maria. You know what I mean? You know, I'm in that sort of situation. This is one of the reasons why when I was talking about workplace bullying laws and that relate to sexual harassment, particularly of women, like, you know, when men or people kind of scoff or make jokes at a woman who might be single, or they try to put pressure on her, like, you know, you never know what's going on with that person. You know what I mean? Some people, you know, I don't know what people think. They think that a woman's supposed to enjoy life just because if she is dressed up or she's taking care of herself, then it always has to be about, this is the individual taste and preferences of how she lives her life. This is her lifestyle. It's not just somebody who wants to be flirty and cute or something like that, because I understand what those kind of clothes look like. Flirty and cute. Like if I was gonna like try to vamp somebody, like I was attracted to somebody, or I was gonna try to really get their attention, then I would be wearing something a little bit more provocative, you know. But you know, when they do these sort of things and tear down the character of women, it's not just something funny. It literally can destroy a life. It's terrorizing to her because she's feeling like pressured to, you know, give up her life or change some sort of aspect, or even get pressured into marrying somebody who could be another abusive person. It's just like, you know, we have these laws that are written to protect people like me. You know what I mean? People like me. You know what I mean? And it's not some sort of uprising when a woman finds herself in a situation where she doesn't have anyone to help her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have family I can fall back on. You know what I mean? Which I was thinking about, you know, I was thinking about, you know, how I come from a clone kind of community, right? And I'm thinking about some of the people who I'm identifying as clones, right? And so I understand that family support is not there. It's there in the formative years because they have a responsibility until you're like 18 years old. I can't tell you, I was thinking about stories that people that I knew in high school that would tell me that they were always worried because their parents have this special arrangement where they want their kids out of the house at 18 years old. And I kept thinking, some of these kids who are telling me this sort of stuff were probably clones. Because, you know, I will tell you, I'm a kind of parent that I understand hell. Like, I understand how this system works, okay? So I could never imagine in my mind, like, wanting to let my son or my child or whatever go out into this risky world where there's like nothing but abuse, and then like throw him out without any sort of support system. You know what I mean? Like, of course I want my son to flourish, okay? But my point is that these people don't have any maternal or any sort of like empathy for their kids or their suffering. They just want to get by and take care of them for as long as they need to, whatever the agreement is, right? So, so yeah, I mean, I don't have that sort of support. You know what I mean? There has been times where I've moved back with my mom, but I believe there was usually some sort of plan or something that they had to enact in order for that to, you know, for that to be convenient or something. There was reasons why it was okay. You know, it's just sad because, you know, I don't have that. And so, so when people put women's life in danger, this is what it is. It's not funny. Sexual harassment is not funny. It's not funny on any level. You know what I mean? I know people think it's funny because they like, well, you know, I remember when I was over at this one place. I'm not going to say the name, okay? Because I've already torn this place down before when I was talking about the woman who was like trying to provoke me to hit her. Well, there was an old dude that was working there too, right? He was really old, okay? Like ancient old. Fucking anyway. He was old, and he was trying to accuse me of uh, he was being rude from like day one, right? So he was trying to accuse me of being rude, right? And I wasn't being rude at all because he was trying to stir up an argument, and I knew he was wrong. I knew he was wrong. And where am I going with this? Oh, the fact that he was trying to bully me, and then he said something like, he said under his breath, he was hoping I wasn't going to hear him. He was saying, oh, he goes, yeah, and you're just trying to accuse me of sexual harassment. Because he knew that I was going through all these different jobs and people were like bullying me. And I don't know why he said that because it had nothing to do with sexual harassment. He was trying to bully me because I was telling him that he was logging something incorrectly, and he was, right? And he was trying to argue with me, telling me that I was doing it. And then he went into this whole spiel about he knows because he did this and this and this and this. And I'm like, dude, you're wrong. But I wasn't going to make a big issue of it. I was just happy to skip off to my little office or whatever. But anyway, long story short, you know, just because a woman dresses nice for work doesn't mean that she is doing this because she wants male attention. It's because it might be her. In my case, it's just my personal preference. And in some people's cases, it might be their upbringing. May have been around individuals who had strong work ethics, and they worked in offices where there was a time, seriously, where women had to have a special budget to get nylons because nylons were a custom in the workplace. You know what I mean? Now people really don't think about wearing pantyhose and stuff like that. But when I was younger, you know, people talk about nylons, replacing nylons. Women were obsessed with replacing nylons because that was like people wore dresses, they wore heels, they wore nice clothes to work. And I've come from that. You know, and this is what I've always done. And this is what I personally think it should be. It makes the place of where you work, it just makes it look more professional. That's what I think, okay? And I also think that it increases morale, at least for me, because why? Because it's probably in line with how I visualize things, how I personally, it's part of my work-life balance, right? Clothes are, so fine, right? But, you know, I was in this situation, I was being like monitored in my workplace from the people that were targeting me. And some of these people were a part of this soul tribe that I'm connected to, and I'm very grateful for, but I had no idea that they were a part of it. This is just how I am. I love clothes. Clothes are my passion. And I will say that clothes do play a big part as far as how I relate to my belief in the occult, right? Because I look at patterns, I look at colors, I look at shapes and things like that, and you know, there's forms of what they call like little bits of sacred geometry, like, you know, you might wear a shirt that has a triangle on it or something, you know, it's a way of me also using it as a tool for manifestation. Anyway, people's minds are blown about this whole issue because the story kind of unfolded, you know, in front of their eyes after a very long period of time, and now it makes sense. It makes sense that, okay, this is what happened. And now my mind's blown because it's like, oh my God, this is what happened. You know, and it's so far-fetched because, you know, all of that stuff, like anything that related to clones and stuff like that, I was open to. And I even believed a lot of the stories that, you know, I had read. But like I said, it wasn't something that, you know, I would ever even think or consider. You know what I mean? I do think that there are more clones than we can possibly. I think that it's more common than we may even know or realize, because I had mentioned that I found out or got suspicious of this whole thing when I stumbled on one of these like tarot readings, right, on YouTube. Now, see, like I said, I am not like a tarot master. I have a few decks, but the tarot used to be very complex. Okay, it used to be where it was written, the origins of tarot. Like some people say that the tarot was like created in Italy. Some people say it was created in Russia, and some people say that it was created in the Orient. The thing is that the tarot was created a very long time, and it was so useful, and the tool was such a great source of divination for some people that, of course, when people travel, it catches on. But people tend to have forgotten exactly where it originated. But the depictions on the tarot, okay, have always been, very symbolic, of course, and they were open for interpretation based on how you, and how you interpret it based on your own form of intuition and the ability to decipher what these things mean. So decks have become modernized. Okay, they're more modern now, right? So this particular one just basically said there was somebody who was cloned, right? So to me, for them to write this cloning issue into a deck of cards, right, as a form of divination for the modern world, just to me kind of confirms the fact that it must be that common. You know what I mean? So anyway, but it's mind blowing, and I do appreciate everyone's support. Anyway, oh, people do believe that my judgment on my decision to not have a relationship with my ex-family or my blood relations, they understand from my point of view, okay? Like I said, a lot of people have been watching this issue, and maybe they didn't understand exactly why somebody would be doing something like this, or maybe they didn't understand it, even they didn't understand it at all, but it should be making sense to you now. Some people are very abusive, and some people are just in families just to abuse. Seriously. It's very strange, but when we're talking about things like cloning, we're talking about alien races and stuff like that. You got to open your mind and understand that some people don't have empathy. There's certain people who do not have empathy, and obviously my family that I was raised with, and I don't really believe that to be in the situation in the first place. I don't believe my blood relations have that sort of empathy. I am someone who has extreme empathy. Like, I've always been that way, and I've noticed like certain things, like I had mentioned before, like when I was younger, I would watch things like Snoopy Come Home, and Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey would just have me in tears and kind of sad, even after hours after I've watched it, right? But none of those things seem to have that effect on my siblings. They didn't have that sort of like compassion when they saw like a dog that was walking down the street. They didn't have a home or anything like that. You know what I mean? I am very sensitive. You know what I mean? Like things. I feel sorry for people, whereas they are the kind of people that would have no problem seeing somebody suffer. Obviously, they like to inflict suffering, right? So there are certain kinds of people, and like I said before, I even took it even further to where we're talking about the origins of narcissistic behavior, okay, which I do believe is demonic. But anyway, I had made some videos before, I would say like in 2015, 16, somewhere around there, where I was talking about, this is narcissistic abuse. It's a narcissistic abuse. When I would say that most of the time when people deal with workplace bullying of any kind, that is coming straight from the top of the pyramid within the corporate structure. Okay, and I'm not talking about targeting so much as the deep kind of targeting that I was into. But like, there are some times where bosses just are on some sort of power trip. You know what I mean? And it's narcissistic because they do things to aggravate their staff. They do things maliciously. They work through other people, and they set a very bad example because they're supposed to be leaders, right? They're supposed to be leaders, but they're corrupt, and how they operate and how they communicate with other people on downward on what do you call it? Like, yeah, there's supposed to be a hierarchy. They're supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be representing not just a company, but a standard of conduct on how to act and how to operate within that business structure. And this is where they fail when you start bringing in these narcissistic people, and it just becomes disastrous. And they want to bully you every way they possibly can. And this is one of the reasons why I encourage people to have at least a basic knowledge of the workplace laws. That goes for anybody who has a job. You need to understand that, when your boss acts out of line, it keeps them in check. When you know your rights as somebody who works in a company, you're going to easily identify those narcissistic bosses, But we do live in a very narcissistic society, and it's run on that. And when I start thinking about how I do so much believe that this place is hell, it starts to make sense. And you wonder how certain people get into certain positions, and it's like, well, how is it that these people, over here, like you'll see a person who contributes like a lot of good ideas in the workplace. They tend to be more efficient. They put in the hours. They do all this sort of stuff, right? This is just an example, right? And they've tried to get this particular position within the company over and over and over, and they never get it. And they bring in somebody new. This is an example of how sometimes, you look at people who have the skills. They have the ability to lead. They have the ability to contribute, right? But they don't get in these positions because this system of hell operates on corruption. That's why I feel so, that it's important to make special time for ourselves. And then I also do understand that because it operates on corruption, this is one of the reasons why I myself don't get involved in politics. Because of that reason. Because this is hell, and I understand its purpose for being here. I'm just trying to get through it, minimize it as much as possible. You know what I mean? I honestly, I don't like living here, but this is the way it is. We're always going to witness injustices, okay? But this state of being is inverted. To them, being wicked is normal. It is normal, okay? So, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, like I said, stay prayed up, do what you got to do. I think delving into our spiritual side is really important, especially right now. Also, the other message I got is that, just people are like wanting me to just focus on the spiritual content and lessons, and I think so too. That's pretty much all I really wanted to do in the first darn place, right? But I do feel stagnated, and I do address this issue because, it's like, I've mentioned it before, and I don't want to mention it again, because I'm even hating myself for mentioning it again. It's like, shut up, Maria, you don't need to say it again, I see how I put myself in check. I'm so well disciplined. But, no, I mean, I deal with a lot of the stagnation, and some people would say, well, you could still keep working on your content. This is what I'm getting from a lot of people in my mind. It's like, well, people are like, well, still just keep making your content because you'll be able to post it eventually. Okay. What I'm saying is the reason why I address my frustration when it comes to this issue, the stagnation issue, is because I don't really trust some of the people in this group. You know what I mean? And this is one of the reasons why I worry. This is one of the reasons why I'm constantly mentioning it. Because unfortunately, the creation of me, okay, and the fact that they conducted something so wicked, like some sort of experiment to compete against my twin and all this, the dark origins, okay, of this program does have me concerned. It has me concerned. I'm sorry that it does. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like having to deal with talking about, my stagnation when it comes to me promoting myself on the other channel, on Patreon. This is one of the reasons why, because I've dealt with their weird abuse and their weird vibes enough to where, this is where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? And this is why I feel the way that I do. I don't know, who to trust anymore. And that's how I feel. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to make my videos, but I want to make my videos with the 100% fact knowing that I'm going to be moving forward. Because like I said, it is what it is, okay? And like I said, keep reaching out and asking, hey, because if you're paying a customer, I want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? I want to get out of here. Like, I really want to get out of here. I honestly don't know the destination of where I would be going because I don't know what's going on. I think today might be the court date. And see, I don't really care at this point whether I get the house or not. If I do, great. But something tells me I should at least look into it. But I'm not, bending over backwards, whatever. To me, I'm literally going with the flow. I don't know how to make any plans right now because I'm at a standstill. Because of this standstill, I'm like, well, okay, what am I doing? What's going on? I don't, it's absolutely impossible for me to not have Patreon members knowing that people have been following the story for that long. It's impossible. You know what I mean? People want to know. They want to know what I'm doing all the time. This is what they always do. So I understand the issue, but at the same time, it's like, I because of there's people that had wicked intent. Okay, I don't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So this is how I feel, and I have the right to feel that way, and I have the right to express. Because let's be real here. How many therapists exist for clones? How many therapists exist for this sort of situation? You know what I mean? I have very unique problems, that I get tired of. I get tired of my own drama. I do, because it just gets to be ridiculous, you know what I mean? So I'm completely aware, but I am very grateful for people who have been supporting me, and I want to thank you guys, and I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime.